This is not about heating your home. This is about thermodynamic inefficiency and why you're paying for comfort you'll never actually receive. Your modern heating system, whether gas, electric, or heat pump, is engineered for convenience, not mastery. Not for your wallet, not for resilience. And certainly not for the kind of deep, penetrating warmth that kept medieval societies alive through winters that would kill you in a week. Here's the failure metric. You are wasting between 60 and 75% of your heating investment, not in dollars. In asterisk, actual thermal energy asterisk, the air in your home is being heated to temperature. Yes, but the way that heat is distributed, retained, and utilized is scientifically backward compared to what human beings understood centuries ago. We traded methodology for buttons, traded competence for convenience, and now you're cold and broke. What if I told you that medieval people without electricity, without thermostats, without any of the advances we assume are essential, maintained warmer, more stable interior temperatures than most people do today? A day. And they did it while burning a fraction of the fuel. This isn't nostalgia. This is physics. This is leverage. In the next 20 minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how. Let's start with first principles. Heat transfer operates through three mechanisms: conduction, convection, and radiation. You already know this from high school physics. But here's what you forgot. Your modern home is designed to maximize asterisk all three simultaneously asterisk, which means your heating system is fighting itself. Conduction is heat moving through materials. When you turn on your furnace, it heats the air. That air rises convection, hits the ceiling, the walls, the windows. Conduction happens. The heat is transferred to the outside environment. Through every material interface in your structure, this is entropy in action. Thermodynamic loss. Your furnace doesn't fight this. It just compensates by producing more heat, more energy, more cost. This is the invisible mechanism that kills your budget. Radiation is the mechanism everyone forgets. Objects emit infrared radiation at temperatures above absolute zero. A room at 72 degrees Fahrenheit is radiating heat outward constantly. The warmer your room, the faster that radiation escapes. This is why forcing your home to 72 degrees costs exponentially more than maintaining it at 62 degrees. The heat loss increases not linearly. The medieval approach didn't try to heat the entire volume of air in a room. It created localized thermal zones, smaller spaces, radiant heat sources. This is optimization. This is leverage. Here's the technical term that modern HVAC engineers hate. Asterisk, incomplete thermal penetration asterisk. Your furnace heats the air, but air is a poor conductor of heat. That's why fans exist, to move that heated air around. But moving air creates currents. Currents create cold spots. Cold spots create discomfort, so you raise the temperature. Higher temperature equals more radiation. Loss equals higher bills. You're in an escalation cycle. Medieval heating bypassed this entire problem. In medieval Europe, heating was a constraint problem. There was no grid, no infinite fuel supply, no ability to simply dial up the furnace. Family had access to wood, maybe peat, if they were near a bog. That was it. A single winter could kill you if you miscalculated your thermal strategy, so they didn't miscalculate. Medieval homes, especially in Northern Europe, were structured with thermal logic, high ceilings. Medieval rooms were chambers, small, enclosed, intimate spaces. Ceilings were low, sometimes only 8 or 9 feet. Why? Because you only heat the air you occupy. Heat rises. If your ceiling is high, that heat dissipates upward into dead space. Wasted. Medieval builders understood this intuitively. Their homes had small rooms connected by passages. Each room could be heated independently. The hearth was not a fireplace for aesthetics. It was the thermal center of the home. But here's the crucial detail everyone misses. Medieval hearths were built into the asterisk core of the structure asterisk, not against an exterior wall, not jutting out into the room. They were internal, surrounded by thermal mass, usually stone or clay. This mass would absorb the radiant heat from the fire, store it, and radiate it back into the space for hours after the fire diminished. One fire in the morning could keep a room warm until evening. One fire in the evening could carry you through the night. Contrast this to modern homes. Exterior walls are thin, Insulation exists, but it's calculated to minimum code. Fireplaces are drafts, they pull warm air up the chimney. Modern baseboards release heat directly into the room, which rises immediately. No thermal mass, no retention. A modern home without active heating cools down in hours. A medieval home, properly loaded with thermal mass, would coast for days. The other variable, dependency. Medieval heating created resilience. If the fuel supply was cut, if the winter was longer than expected, the structure itself was designed to retain heat. Modern homes are dependent. Without active input, they fail. This is not accidental. It's a feature of market design. The villain in this story is not malice, it's convenience. And convenience is profitable. In the 1950s and 1960s, central heating became standard in North America. This was marketed as liberation. No more stoking the fire. No more managing the hearth. No more dependency on physical labor. The thermostat was positioned as human progress, and in one sense it was. But the trade-off was catastrophic for your thermal competence. See, a central heating system requires you to trust the system. You set a temperature. The system maintains it. You never learn how heat actually behaves. You never develop an intuition for thermal dynamics. You become dependent. The moment that dependency is established, the incentive structure flips.
Ow!
Someone else controls your comfort. And comfort can be optimized for profit, not for your well-being. The 1970s oil crisis briefly reversed this. People suddenly cared about efficiency. Sales of wood stoves surged. People insulated their homes. For about a decade, there was a renaissance of thermal literacy. But then the crisis passed. Oil prices dropped. The cultural narrative shifted. By the 1980s, thermal competence was positioned as backward, nostalgic, unnecessary. The marketing was simple. Modern equals better. Old equals obsolete. Here's the lost knowledge moment. In the 1950s, most American homes still had at least one wood stove or a fireplace that was actively used. By the year 2000, that number had dropped to less than 10%. The knowledge didn't just fade, it was actively replaced. Architectural schools stopped teaching thermal design. Building codes stopped requiring thermal mass. Homes became standardized boxes, optimized for construction speed, not for occupant comfort or energy efficiency. And the market loved it. Standardized homes are cheaper to build. Centralized heating means greater fuel consumption, which means greater revenue for utilities. Modern HVAC systems are replacement products. They fail, you buy new ones. A medieval heating system, it could last centuries. It's unsustainable for profit. So the system was dismantled. Not through conspiracy, through incentive, alignment. When profit and well-being diverge, profit wins in a market structure. Now, the protocol. This is how you reclaim thermal competence and save significant money this winter. Not through hacks, through systematic methodology. Principle 1. The mindset shift: reject uniform temperature. Stop trying to maintain 72 degrees Fahrenheit in every room, all day, every night. This is the assumption that kills your budget. Medieval homes didn't maintain uniform temperature. They created thermal hierarchy. Living spaces were warm. Sleeping chambers were cool. Unused spaces were cold. This is not deprivation, it's optimization. Instead, identify your high-value spaces. Where do you spend the most time? Which rooms do you actually inhabit? Those are your thermal priority zones. A typical family spends 60% of their time in 20% of their home. If you heat only those spaces to 72 degrees and allow the rest of the home to coast at 60 or below, your energy consumption drops dramatically, not proportionally, non-linearly, because you're reducing the external surface area that radiates heat. Implement this immediately. Shut the vents in unused rooms. Close doors to create smaller thermal zones. This is not a hack. This is thermodynamic reasoning. Principle 2. The structural change introduced thermal mass. Your home is losing heat through radiation because it lacks thermal mass. Introduce it. This is not renovation. This is strategic addition. Water has an exceptional specific heat capacity, 4.18 joules per gram per degree Celsius. This means water stores and releases heat extremely efficiently. Fill a bathtub with water during the day, especially in a sunny room. The water absorbs solar radiation and infrared from the room. At night, that water gradually releases that heat back into the space. Cost almost nothing if you're already filling the tub for bathing. Benefit: hours of passive heating. Alternatively, dense materials: concrete, stone, brick. If you have a hearth or fireplace, place a large stone slab in front of it, close to the heat source. Tile it. Let it absorb radiation. This mass will radiate heat long after the fire dies. Medieval homes understood this so completely that their hearths were often embedded in walls several feet thick. Better implementation: if you have south-facing windows, this is a solar gain opportunity. Place dark-colored objects in front of those windows during the day. They absorb solar energy. As the sun sets and exterior temperature drops, those objects radiate that heat into the room. This is completely free energy. Passive solar heating. Medieval architects built homes specifically to exploit this dynamic. Principle 3. The input quality seal envelope leaks heat loss doesn't happen uniformly. It concentrates at weak points, gaps, cracks, unsealed penetrations. Find them. Using thermal imaging would be ideal but expensive. Instead, tactile methodology. On a cold day, move your hand along baseboards, around window frames, near electrical outlets. You'll feel draft. These are your thermal bleeding points. Seal them. Weather stripping on doors is the lowest hanging fruit. Caulk around windows. Foam sealant around electrical outlets on exterior walls. These interventions are $50 total and can reduce heating costs by 15%. The reason this works: you're not adding heat. You're reducing loss. Thermodynamic efficiency. A small reduction in the rate of heat loss has massive compounding effects over time. Principle 4. The maintenance routine: rebuild thermal intuition. This is the step that separates mastery from mere adjustment. You must rebuild your capacity to feel heat, to understand how it moves, to develop intuition. Each morning, when you wake, do this. Walk through your home. Feel the temperature variations. Notice which rooms are coldest, which are warmest. Is there a draft? Is there solar gain? These observations aren't poetic, they're data. They're teaching your nervous system how thermal systems actually behave. During the day, experiment with one variable at a time. Close one door. Note the effect. Open it. Open the opposite door. Note the difference. This is the scientific method applied to your environment. After 2 weeks, you'll have intuitive understanding of your home's thermal dynamics that your thermostat hides from you. Implement this. Stop adjusting the thermostat based on discomfort. Instead, adjust your environment. Put on a sweater. Move to a different room. Close blinds. Open blinds. Activate thermal mass. These micro-adjustments reestablish your agency. They rebuild autonomy. And they teach you that comfort is not a binary state managed by a machine. It's a dynamic equilibrium that you maintain through conscious choice. Zoom out. This is not really about heating. This is about a fundamental choice. Will you be a dependent consumer, or will you be an autonomous agent in your own environment? Every competence you surrender creates a dependency. Every dependency creates fragility. When you don't know how to heat your home, you're dependent on systems you don't control, dependent on energy providers, dependent on infrastructure, dependent on the assumption that the system will always function. But systems fail, grids go down, fuel supplies get disrupted, prices spike. History shows us repeatedly that the families who survive disruption are those who maintain basic competence. The ability to heat a room without a thermostat, to understand insulation, to manage thermal resources. This isn't survival prepping. This is literacy. This is the baseline knowledge that humans maintained for thousands of years and that we've carelessly discarded. The medieval person wasn't trying to survive. They were just living. And they understood their environment deeply enough to not waste resources, to be comfortable without excess, to maintain resilience without paranoia. This is the standard we should return to. Your heating bill this winter will likely be higher than last year. Fuel costs are rising. Infrastructure is aging. You have 2 options. Accept this as inevitable and pay, or reclaim the knowledge that makes you independent. You know which one works. Don't just watch this video. Don't just nod along. Actually do one thing this week. Seal one gap. Introduce one thermal mass. Create one smaller zone. Feel the difference. Let your body relearn how heat actually works. Let your home teach you its thermal personality. This is not nostalgia for the medieval period. This is a recognition that they solved a problem we've forgotten we have. You're not missing medieval heating secrets. You're missing the competence that comes from understanding the environment you inhabit. That's what warming you up this winter. And that's what makes you free.